I'm joined here today by the one, the only. It is, of course, Aung La Nsang, set to take on Reinier de Ridder at One Championship, Enter the Matrix. What's going on, sir? How are you?
Good, I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. First things first, before we get into the fight, before we get into everything, you unfortunately ended up getting COVID-19. How are you doing now, man? How was the whole recovery with everything?
I think I'm fortunate.
Oh, yeah.
I think I'm very fortunate. A lot of people still wonder what it is, don't know what's going on. At least I had it. So I feel like I'm the fortunate few that had it, have antibodies now. I feel great, man. It wasn't too bad. My whole family actually got it. We
Oh, yeah.
quarantined for two weeks, and we're pretty much back to normal. So.
So, how was everybody during that period? Because I know some people, they show no symptoms and they're fine. They don't even realize they have it. Others, it's a lot worse. So, how was everybody doing?
For us, for my whole family, it was very mild. We had, slight fever, aches, um, congestion, and we lost our sense of smell and taste. I guess it's a lot, but to us, it wasn't too bad. Yeah.
Some people they were saying, I know in France it was like this, where people were losing their smell and taste, but they were like eating onions and stuff like that just to show people how big it was. Do you think you would have been able to eat a raw onion?
Oh yeah, definitely. Um, what happened was like we were quarantining and like we ordered pizza thinking that it would taste so good. When we
Oh, yeah.
tasted that pizza, it's just like you couldn't taste it at all. You're just eating like some salted bread or something like that. So yeah,
I
I,
think
I
that
could have been able to eat an onion for sure.
that
I
is
eat,
one of
I
the
eat
saddest
crazy
things I
stuff
ever
too,
heard.
though. I eat crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I eat things like cricket and like
Oh, yeah.
worms and stuff like that. So
Oh man, that is so sad. I mean, not being able to enjoy pizza, it's just that's one of the saddest things I think I've ever heard.
yeah, pretty sad. I was thinking, man, because I was on a diet. I was, because thinking that I had a fight coming up, so I was pretty much stayed in camp, stayed on diet, and then I was like, man, pizza sounds good right now,
Yeah.
because I was losing so much weight, and when I ate it, it's like disgusting. I mean, it didn't have no taste at all.
Yeah, it's a very sad, but here it looks like you made a full recovery. Did you have any effects physically? I know some people they were scared they were still gonna feel things later on. Like, are you 100% like you were before?
I think so. I feel good. Training camp was amazing. Have I have great training partners. Great trainers, great coaches. So as far as strength and conditioning, as far as physicality goes, like I feel good. I feel better than ever.
And so, of course, last time we saw you compete was against Brandon Vera. You were supposed to fight in April. Obviously, we know everything that happened. How has this layoff been for you? Has it been tough not being able to fight? I'm sure you've wanted to come back a lot earlier.
Oh yeah, it's great. This whole time, like because of the COVID, we did a lot of small groups. We did a lot of small groups with the coaches. I actually got to improve a lot on my on my wrestling, on my ground game, and clean up my striking as well. So for me, it's been a blessing in disguise. And having this whole year off, had some injuries, and everything healed, and physically I feel good. Mentally I feel great as well. So it's gonna be good.
Of course, this is the thing with fighters when they take time off. We see them, they heal, they look a lot better when they come back. Is it fair to say that this year off was beneficial in helping your longevity in your career?
For sure, for sure. I feel like my body physically feels better than it's been in the last like 5 years when I was very active. So it's been great.
All right, let's talk about this fight a little bit. Obviously, you've got De Ridder coming up. What was your reaction when they came to you and told you, this was the opponent next, especially considering that's not who you were supposed to fight back in April?
Yeah, I mean it is what it is. I was supposed to fight him like a while now. He turned down the fight initially in April because of his knee problem after his last fight. He was still like a little injured or whatever, but I knew we were gonna end up competing and down the road, so it didn't matter. I know what he brings to the table, and I know what I have. So
And so the fact that you were supposed to take him on before, I assume you guys have already come up with a game plan in the past and had, like, I guess, a specific training for him already, even before this camp.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, And the good thing is we actually have more middleweights helping me out for this camp, like Brendan Allen, Derek Brunson, Caesar, and Foz, all these middleweights helping me out get ready for this fight. So Tuco as well. So it's been pretty good. We have a solid game plan against Reinier. Not that it really matters, but I feel like I'm more well-rounded than he is. So it's going to be good for sure.
And something I'm curious about, is it true you have a statue made for you back at the island back home? Is that true they have a
No,
whole
I'm
statue
not from
just
the
for you?
island. I'm from Myanmar.
Okay.
So I was born in Gachin State in Myitkyina. We're from the Jingpo tribe, Gachin in English. And they did make a statue of me because of the fact that I'm a world champion and first world champion ever out of Myanmar. So.
So what was your reaction to getting a statue? Because that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, it is. I didn't like it. I didn't like the fact
Okay.
that like it's a lot of pressure. It's added pressure.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I'm not done with my career yet. I'm trying to still be the best version of myself. The best mixed martial artist that I can be. So for me, I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. But
So did
it's something that if Myanmar, we're a third world country. We're not super rich. We're not super technologically advanced. So it's something that they have pride in. My fighting is something that gives them pride. So it is. It is what it is.
So that's got to be extra pressure on top of it because you have the statue, you have a whole country behind you where people are looking at you specifically as a success. Like you must have all this extra pressure.
Yeah, but I don't see it like that. I see like support.
Right.
I see it as something that gives me energy when I'm deep in my training camp. Something that gives me added strength as well. Added strength when I compete. So it's not like pressure for me.
For sure. It's a cool thing. It seemed like you were going to rematch Brandon Vera. There's a lot of talk about it. I think you guys even were booked at some point. What's the deal with Brandon Vera? Is the door closed on that or is that something we might still see down the line?
I think the door is closed on that. I'm not going back up. I mean, he's a heavyweight. It
Right.
doesn't make sense for me. I like to stay at middleweight. Middleweight's a better ground for me. Unless he comes down to middleweight, I don't think there'll be a rematch.
For sure, that makes a lot of sense, and I strongly doubt we're going to see him because he's huge. I mean, 6'4". I mean, he's a very
Yeah.
big guy, especially since he left the UFC.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a problem for me. It's just it takes a lot out of me to make that to make the heavier weight class. So.
And so when you make the heavyweight weight class, I assume you have to go on sort of like a bulk and then
Yeah.
maybe even drop the weight afterwards. Like, what's kind of that process like for you?
Yeah, the first like 3 to 6 months we bulked up. We bulked up to about 225, 230. And then after that, we cut down in fight camp, and naturally my weight drops down to like 215, which is like my ideal weight. So for me to fight at that heavier, it doesn't make sense for me.
For sure, it's definitely a crazy thing having a bulk, having a cut, and all that stuff, and it's got to be an extra stress on your body as well.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I feel like I wouldn't say it's bad, but I mean it's kind of good because I know how heavyweights feel. But for me naturally I'm a middleweight. So
Right, and speaking of middleweight, so you are going to be defending this belt against the Reinier. I mean, how do you like the matchup in this one? I'm sure you've got to think about that a lot, especially in the past. But how do you like the matchup?
I love it. It's a great matchup for me. His strong suit is his grappling. And being from Holland, I'm sure he's going to train with a lot of good kickboxers, and my trainer is from Holland as well, Henry Hoof.
Yeah.
It's an interesting matchup. It's a matchup that's going to end with an emphatic, finish. So just keep an eye on it. It's going to be a fun fight for the fans.
For sure. We know you can't reveal anything about the game plan, but let me ask you this. When you've trained for him in the past, prepared and stuff, has the game plan changed over time or has it been pretty similar, during all this time?
Pretty similar. It's pretty straightforward. There's no secret to it. I'm gonna finish him on the feet.
And are you someone that watches a lot of tape, or do you leave that kind of to your coaches?
No, no, I watch a lot of tape, and not just on Reinier, but also on other fights. I watch a lot of kickboxing fights. I watch old boxing fights as well. I do a lot of studying to give me better fight IQ and to fight smarter and to be a better mixed martial artist.
For sure. Since we mentioned the boxing thing, we'll bring it up. We know Mike Tyson, of course, making that big return against y'all must have forgot Roy Jones Jr. As someone that studies all the martial arts and everything, what do you think of that matchup?
Ugh, it's not going to be good. I don't think it's going to be good at all. I mean, they're well past their prime. Both of them are well past their prime. Um, I give the edge to Roy Jones, just because of the things that Tyson has done to his body. I don't think it's good at all.
So when I guess all these social media pages are hyping up Tyson and Cordero and stuff, you're not really a believer in the hype?
Yeah, but I mean, all you see is 15 seconds. You can't
True.
think that the 15 seconds is how he's training, for hours. I guarantee you that he's not training like that for more than 5 minutes. And like I don't believe hypes. I'll have to watch the fight and be impressed with it. But I think that we all know they're well past their prime, but just because of their name and their mystique and because they're legends in the sport, there's still hype around it.
For sure. One last question. Get into the hype of your fight. Obviously, we know it's going to be a great fight, but one last question for you. How do you see yourself getting your hand raised in this matchup?
A knockout, for sure, a knockout. Yeah.
All right, well, there we go. Very simple, very short and sweet. Listen, man, thank you so much for the time. I really
For
appreciate
sure.
it. I look forward to this fight. It's going to be a great
For
one.
sure, my man. It's gonna be exciting. Yeah, I put a lot into this camp, and I'm hoping I'm gonna do everything I can to put on a great performance for the fans. As a fan myself, I love watching exciting fights, so I will put on an exciting fight for you guys.